Bingy, Okavango, Rasdada, Yaga, Truck Fender, the Living Fire represent to the fullest. See? Perfect balance. Don't know so. Trod class. Living fire represent. Keep the fire burning out. What the man will like keep it like right. This is it.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Perfect Balance Trodclass, a place where conscious-minded and like-minded individuals are guided towards their full potential through collective reasoning. We have with us today Okavango, the Rebel Guru, Bingi, Yaga, aka Teacher Ma'at. I'm yours truly, Ras Dada, and we are the Perfect Balance Trodclass. I want to welcome all our viewers. I want to welcome everyone who's joining us today for another episode in the Trodclass. I want to thank those people who've been subscribing, who've been following our episodes and our topics. And the reviews we're getting is that the people who are following are appreciating the content. They're liking the topics. They're liking the views. And they're liking the alternative perspectives presented on the Trodclass, not just the regular narratives that's being portrayed on the mainstream media or what most people think, but just a varied view on these same topics. So I want to thank those people who are subscribing, thank those people who are following. Remember that we're still on the road to 1K, and we want to do this because we want to make this experience much more interactive and something that we all can be actively a part of. So, what going, my lads? Everything up full?
On there, I give thanks.
Yes, sir. Give Isis, man. It's a great energy for be here once more. Yeah, go where I say.
Yeah, man, everything up full, man. We give thanks, you know.
Yeah, man, glory, you know. Glorious, give thanks. Yeah, so, this week we saw a little attention being highlighted on US and South African relations. And we just thought that would be a good opportunity to really talk and look at this thing from a multifaceted viewpoint to see exactly what's going on here, where we're talking about the Afrikaners, aka white Caucasian South African people who have been granted refugee status in the US as a result to the new land reform policies being implemented in South Africa. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn over to Brother Okavango, who can talk to us a little bit about the land reform policies that are being implemented, and we can then take the discussion from there.
Yes, give thanks. So, you want to speak about, to give the audience, people are wondering, who is these Afrikaner people? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people didn't know that you're even other white people or Caucasian people in South Africa, or, you know what I mean? People living in South Africa who call themselves African. So we want to give a little background, a little, you know what I mean, history of these people. So the Afrikaner people, or people who call themselves Afrikaner, are people who came to South Africa. They started settling in South Africa in the 17th century. You know what I mean? On the coast of South Africa. And by the 19th century, you had like a million of them living there, and they start on the coast and they start moving inwards. You know what I mean? Creating problem with the Zulu people and the Xhosa people in South Africa. You know what I mean? They start calling themselves Afrikaners or Boers. You know what I mean? So but they have been living there for almost 400 years. They've been living in South Africa. They colonized South Africa. You know what I mean? And they grew politically. They became a political part of South Africa. You know what I mean? Creating a party, and they are the ones that when they came to power in South Africa, they implement the apartheid thing in South Africa. You know what I mean? And now, you know, after apartheid, they finish the party, they break up the party, and they lose the power. And now we see that the government of South Africa is trying to do a land reform, you know what I mean, causing some issues with them, because in South Africa, the Afrikaners are Caucasian people. None black people own over 70% of the land. Africans own, I think, 9% of the land. So the government, while trying to do land redistribution, try to, I mean, make it more equal. So now the government is trying to redistribute land that has not been used. It's owned by people, but most likely the Afrikaners who are not using it, and they try to take those land and redistribute it. So this is what is causing the uproar now, because they are saying that this is reverse apartheid. They're saying it's white genocide, I mean, all these things. And we see Donald Trump, I mean, is riding that wave and giving them refugee status as if they are, I mean, under some kind of that, like it's real, like the genocide is happening for real, or they are taking something from them that was there in the first place. So that's it's just like a short synopsis of what is really taking place.
Okay. Give thanks. So,
Mm-hmm.
the the what's so special about the issuing of refugee status to these white Afrikaners in this moment? Because I'm still at a loss, and I think a lot of people might be at a loss and be like, yo, okay, so they gave them refugee status. What's so special about them getting refugee status?
You could
Go on,
look
go
at
on,
that
Diggy, go on, Diggy.
in many ways, right? Because one, the person who's in control is making sure that you understand what he stands for, right? Think about who these people represent, right? These are the same people who implemented apartheid. The Dutch first came to South Africa in 1652, So they've been in South Africa, right? Then you had the British and the French, right? These are who these people are. So just based on their ethnic identity or their nationality, you know that they don't even belong there. But during this time, think about from 1652 till a recent time, what we call apartheid, right? Or the end of apartheid in 1994, you had native people being in subjugation to these people who don't even belong there in the first place, who took their land, who literally took their land away from them, right? If we thinking about what the I just said, Okavango, they are 7 or 6 to 7% of the population, but own almost 70 or 80% of the farmland. How is that possible? What happens to the indigenous people who are there, right? So the land grab, as they had it, has been an unjust land grab. The government is proposing something very sensible. What they're proposing is, hey, if you haven't been using the land for a period of time, then we could redistribute that land and it could be used to benefit communities and people or the country as a whole, right? So why isn't that feasible? So today now you're saying you're victimized. But why are you victimized when you literally giving up something that you're not using, one, and didn't belong to you in the first place? So what's the victimization? And then you have somebody else saying, hey, you know what? It's a genocide. They're being killed, right? You have the American president saying, hey, they're being killed. They're genocide against the Afrikaners. But that is untrue in all states. Think about it. You offer this refugee status, right? You have over 2.7 million Afrikaners in South Africa. How many of them came on your first wave? 58. 58 people came on your first wave of these people who were being brutalized. Listen, they live in their best lives. They live in their best lives. You know why? Because they're still in charge. They still wielding the whip, so to speak, until something actually happens. It's so it's one sided. So none of that is happening. If that was happening, we would have seen hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them coming in
In
waves.
waves.
No, brother.
Goes.
That's nonsense, right? And that is a distraction too, right? And that's a distraction for how the West gets in there. Remember, how it starts, is destabilization. How the West gets in there? is through propaganda. This is
Mhm.
what you're seeing. You're seeing propaganda. That's all you're seeing.
Okay.
And then you have a president who's
Mhm.
gonna come to the West now. He's gonna come to America and actually sit down and talk with this man. Nonsense. Nonsense, bro. All nonsense.
um, the peculiarity or the specialness about the thing that I was hoping to bring to the forefront though was that in the same breath that they've added these Caucasian people to having or being eligible for refugee status, they've taken away refugee status from people like Haitians who are actually going through a conflict. People like Afghanistanis who are actually going through a conflict. Who, when you're seeing they're having waves, they're coming in droves to try and get away from these adverse human conditions to find some kind of security and stability. You see that, and like you're saying with the Afrikaners, when they opened it and said, okay, we're giving you this refugee status, 58 of them came. So that means that they're not really in any threat or dire needs, but the people who are in dire needs, they're being restricted or removed from that status. And that is what I thought was special about this whole move and art, what brings the conversation to the forefront. Because how can you have people who actually require or need refugee status being
Right.
denied
But
that?
but before you even go on, right? That's why I
Mhm,
said the president or the West, they're showing who they are, right?
mhm,
And that is what is the whole culmination is. I am in charge, and this is what I represent. So
and
in
what I
that
want to do.
representation, yes, yes,
I
You
think
know,
people
this
got
is immigration is a racist policy in and itself because most of these countries who immigrate implement such policy, they've closed their borders to anyone who is not Caucasian from coming in. But at the same time, they are free to move within even our borders as they feel a mind. You know, so that policy is racist and just like what they're doing. To be a refugee, you have to meet a certain criteria. And normally sometimes you probably would end up in a refugee camp before you go through that process of moving into another country. And you would
Mhm,
have been there for years and have to go
mhm,
through a process.
mhm,
You'd have to go
mhm,
through a process to make sure that you meet those criteria. And it's gonna take you a while before that even happens.
mhm,
The pace at which this happens defies the whole international standard and practice in dealing with refugee
mhm.
status. You know,
So,
so again, we're not surprised by this practice because this is what they do. This is what they do, and they are not hiding it anymore. They're not even hiding it anymore. It's there in your face. That is it. Yes, there is two worlds, one world for we and one world for you. And
hate
this
it
is
or
how
love
it
it.
goes in our world.
Hate it or
kind
And
love
of
it.
diplomacy.
yeah
yes,
man. This is just when you look at it, it's you don't have to go around the bush and you can just call it out. It's racism. The whole as Yaga said, the whole policy is racist. You know what I mean? White people get in free and nobody else cannot get in. Europeans, European people who have European background, Caucasian historically get in, and if you have another skin color or another ethnicity, you don't get in. That's it. That's just it. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
But imagine why the shift though. Even when you think about South Africa, why South Africa now then, right? Think about the relationship the president has with Elon Musk, for example, and the influence he's having on him as a South African, right? So that too plays an important part in what's actually happening here. You know? But more than that, what we see is a lot of lawlessness. If we look at what's happening here right now, it's real lawlessness, right? And it's a adolescent behavior, right? Because right now there is no bilateral talks. You know, we have a system here that is just going and disrupt or say they're gonna take whatever they wanna take. We see it here on the ground level. through how policies are affecting how we live, right? But internationally, it's the same thing going on, you know. All this is just a backdrop for them to come into your place and tell you what to do eventually. That's all it is. Destabilization in action. Like,
In
really.
effect.
Yeah, man. And racism is real, right? And think about this. Even during this time of instability, I'll call it, where you have immigrants who have been accosted, who legally live in this country, right? Deported for no reason. You have never seen a plane load of Caucasians being deported anywhere. And they're here illegally too. So just to show you back to the racist ideology, it's been here, it's been shown in your face from day one.
Yep.
This is just a upgrade to it. We do what we want. Yeah, this is an upgrade.
And
If you're
and,
white,
and,
all
and
right.
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
and if we should go forward in history and look at these Afrikaner people, we see that these people are not so innocent people. I mean, they are Caucasians, they are Europeans, and these are colonizers who came to South Africa. And when they came, people were living there. People were
Hmm.
living on the land. And they, over the years, they start from the coast and they go inwards, warring with the people, especially the Zulu
This is
and the Xhosa people. And they go in and in warring with these people, killing these people and taking over the land
mm-hmm.
until it become, you know what I mean, first it was the Dutch, it was Dutch people, it was Dutch settlers, you know what I mean. Then you had the English who came in, the French who came in to join them, and the Germans who also came and joined up with them. And you know what I mean, they were backed by Britain, and who gave them
Yeah.
guns to fight the indigenous people of the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you wonder how did they got control of all the land?
Yeah.
It was because of you know what I mean, murdering the indigenous people, taking over the land, and
Of
enslaving
course.
also. Remember, these people were also slave owners. You know what I mean? They went inland, take over the land, and then in the 19th century they become a political party. And when they become a political party and came to power, they also take the land from people again. You know what I mean? Politically. You know what I
And
mean? Because the
apartheid.
apartheid is, you know what I mean? I think it means
Mhm.
separation in
Mhm.
Dutch. And they separate the people and took away the land, took away all the privilege from the indigenous people of the land. You know what I
Right.
mean? The real Africans. Take away all their rights. So this is one of the things the government is also trying to do. People who lost their land in that
Give them
time when
opportunity to
when
regain it.
they want to say, okay, you took this land in this
Mhm.
time, so you're gonna take it back from you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or if you
Yeah.
have land even from those time when you just came and not using it, we're
Mhm.
gonna take those land without compensation, because they had a thing first when they were trying to get land, and they will compensate them, like they actually buy back the land from them. But now they have a new, so it's a new policy where they actually take the land and you don't get compensation for it. So
Okay,
this is
so that is the real irk in the matter.
it's a big
That they're not
uproar, yes,
being
because
right,
now they could
right,
get
right.
the land and you don't get compensated for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first, the first land,
Yeah, they were compensating originally.
and you're
Yeah.
talking about 70% of the population they are in uproar. Like, okay, why is this taking so long? Why is it taking so long for us? Apartheid is 1994. It's 30 something years now. Why is it taking so long for the land
31
to be?
years.
It's very evident that
Indistributed.
a small percentage of the nation own most of the land, and this was land that we owned just before that, just before apartheid. People own, you know what I mean,
Right.
land.
As we are
So
give the people them a recent history in other thing. Seeing for apartheid is a recent
recently,
event.
Recent.
recently, yes,
Very
man.
recent event. So some of our
Yeah.
listeners might not even be aware because they are much younger than we are. But this is what Mandela fought against. Mandela was instrumental in fighting against apartheid. And these same people were the people who imprisoned Mandela
Yes.
and labeled him a
Mandela, yes.
terrorist for fighting for betterment for his people, for fighting for land for his people, for sovereignty, for people to have a right to vote, because in them times it's only white rule. And just like segregation, you can't go to the school where the white man them go to. You can't participate in nothing where the white man them going at the swimming pool, nothing, no school. As a matter of fact, the black people them not no school figure. And them have all of them something there. So we see a redress and a rebalance are going now, which is inevitable anyway. And them a cry foul. Oh, you cry foul in a someone land when you come in my house and you take over my things, take away, kick out my pick them, kick out my family and take over my things. And now we are trying to get a hold of it. You are cry foul. This is
Yeah, and it's not,
unbelievable. It is
and
unbelievable.
it's not even said give us all of it back. It's give us some of it back.
And not
You
just
know what I mean?
some, not just
Some
some,
of
the
it
portion that you're not using or
you're not
haven't even used.
using.
Shameful. They are
Whatever you
shameful.
stole. So this is the thing. This is whatever you stole from me. Give us what you're not using from what you stole from me.
Right.
That is it.
How,
And they're crying foul.
how much more reasonable could you be?
Could you
Think
be?
about it. How much more reasonable could you're not even using it, You know,
Yeah,
what
we
is
know
the
some
fight
people
about?
who come say yeah, them are South African. We know history. We know
Well,
geography. So
Yaga, they are South African.
Yeah.
That's a nationality.
Yeah, that's a nationality.
Anybody can become a South African. But they're not Africans.
and we'll never be Africans.
No. The
Just
And
like
let us
ethnicity is not that.
we are not Europeans and them treat we so in Europe. What if we supposed to treat them the way they treat our people wrote in Europe and in the West?
and let us give a little history on why we can't accept them to be Africans, right? Because reason why you cannot be Africans is because you are from a group of people that has known everywhere they go, destruction follow. Everywhere they go, death follow. Everywhere they go, things die. You are part of that group. You are part of the group that everywhere they go, every single thing, you know what I mean, get extinct. People get extinct. Things get extinct. Trees is extinct.
Poison.
Everywhere they go, things
Poison.
die. We don't want to be associated with that. You know what I mean? And that's a big problem. You know what I mean? And to fix that problem, we have to identify the problems that you are that, you cause that. Anywhere you go, you know what I mean? Europe, anywhere Europeans go, anywhere Caucasians go, things die. You know what I mean? And that needs to be fixed. How we're gonna fix that is identify the problem and let them know that, okay, anywhere you go, this is what happened. Destruction follow. Everywhere you go, you know what I mean? There is weeping and mourning.
You
You know what I
don't think
mean?
they know
So
that?
But they know that.
they
You
know
don't
that,
think they
but
know
we have
They
to
that?
know
say
that.
They
to
just don't
identify
care. They don't
They
care.
don't. Yeah.
yeah, but we have to say we can't associate ourselves with that and say, okay, you are now African. You know what I mean? Because now Africans will start associate with everywhere they go, because there's no nation on earth that African country has ever gone and impose their will on them, impose their educational system, their religion, you know what I mean, their way of life. No African country has ever done that. No
No.
African people has ever done that. You understand? So we don't want to be associated with that. And because we are here to fix those things and tell Europeans that you are being very bad historically. History
Speaks for
shows
itself.
right how bad you have been, how murderous you have been, how violent you have been, how destructive you have been, right? So if we are going to move from this place to another place, we got to identify, okay, man, you have been very destructive, you have been very bad. So how you going to change, you Europeans? You know what I mean?
And
You
they're
have been the one that
responsible for
doing
the
these things.
mangameism.
Yes, I.
Yeah,
So
but
you know what I
not
mean?
at the rate we going right now. I think it's a regression, right? If it's regression, if we looking at where we are, let's say we are in America right now, and we looking at the system in place right today, right now, this moment. We regressing, we not progressing,
Yeah,
right?
man.
We regressing as human beings, we regressing, right? For what this is, the representation is, this is not progress.
When that became evident to me was a couple years ago. They had these strikes with the food industry, like with the restaurants and stuff, for better wages.
Right.
And they actually did a comparison because Martin Luther King Jr. actually had a demonstration fighting for better wages in his
Right.
dispensation, right? So they compared the struggle of a Martin Luther King Jr. to the struggle that they were having with the food industries at that present day, right?
Hmm.
And it was revealed that when they looked at the levels in terms of comparing value, the wages that they were getting in the time of Martin Luther King on a
Better.
value level was better than
Yeah.
what they were getting in that day. And then
No.
it just dawned that, hold on, so you mean that we're actually going back, we're worse than where we are. But then it shouldn't be surprising because we always say that slavery is real. You know, the only difference today is that people don't know that they're enslaved. You understand? And even when they do know, it's almost as if they feel powerless. They feel as if they're not in a position to actually do anything about it, right? But when slavery was in its chattel form, everyone knew that they were enslaved and everyone wanted a better change. You understand? But now we're in a worse situation and nobody wants to change it, it seems. Everybody is just comfortable and just accepts it. Like, for
Well,
example, something like this happening and there's almost no uproar about
Right.
it
well, we
on
don't
an
want to say nobody
international.
don't want to. We don't want to say nobody don't want it to change.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? A lot
mhm,
of people they're not seeing it, but people
mhm,
like us is there that want it to change. You know what I
It's
mean?
Yeah,
not
So
that they are not
we do.
seeing it, because they even know that it goes against their principles and their moral values, but they still remain silent. And that is what we call tacit complicity, because you know that everything about it not right, but yet still, do nothing about it.
mhm. True.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. So in this whole thing, these Afrikaners, these Europeans, they are not any victims. You know what I
No.
mean? Yeah,
No.
man.
Even
They're
though,
not any
even though they're being
victims.
depicted as
By
such,
no means. By no
By
even,
means.
no
even though
mean they are the
And
victims.
then numbers speak for themselves. Like
So
the
so stop
evidence is there. The
And
evidence
they are not
itself
yeah.
there.
innocent.
Everything say they are not victims.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
say this
yeah.
is just a racist move. You know what I mean? By the US. Because the US has always been backing these Afrikaners,
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
get it. History tells
yeah,
that, Remember, the
absolutely.
US put Mandela on a terrorist list.
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
this, yeah,
man.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
And because he was trying to fight apartheid to give
Mhm,
South Africa equality.
yep.
Hmm.
Mhm,
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
mhm,
yeah,
that's what he was fighting for. It wasn't fighting for them to leave and South Africa or for them to die. He was fighting for
mhm.
equal rights in South Africa
Right,
for everybody. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And the United States government put Mandela on the terrorist list
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
have Africans who were fighting for
Apartheid.
equal rights.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
they are known to back these Afrikaners and their and the injustice that they always been doing in South Africa.
And them
mhm.
long time alive.
And it's still
Long
going
time,
on.
long
And
Yeah.
time,
they
long
can
time.
they still believe that was right, and is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's evident
The
because
British too,
To
they're
this
the
no
day.
British and the
backing,
French,
they're
Mandela
no
the British
Mandela
and the
backing,
never
French.
came off the terrorist list. He never came off
they're no backing the
Yeah,
next apartheid state that exists currently. They're no backing them. So
yeah,
fully.
fully,
Fully.
fully,
right?
fully,
So
There you
fully.
you
go.
know, mm,
Fully.
There you
But
go.
again, the evidence is in the laws we see too, right? Like we
mhm,
looking at it, who living in it, right? You see the laws and how they're being changed blatantly, right? To
right.
represent this racist ideology, this fascism, this it's real. It's in your face. Like, hey, here
Mm,
I am. But I always think about it in this term. I said the South has waited till this moment. The South has waited till this moment. This is not just no. This been planned for a long time.
mhm,
That when
mhm,
we do become empowered, this is what we will do.
mhm,
And they doing
mhm,
it, brother. They representing all that Christian right ideology you could see up
Rule
front.
based order.
Yes, I. Literally. You've seen it and they're doing it on an international stage,
mhm,
right? So think about this. Even this week, right? Like we said, we know that Ramaphosa is gonna meet with Trump, right? And the thing is, as a president representing your country, in no way, form, or fashion, you should be walking out of that room after your meeting with any different ideology that you had in response or in terms of how you acquire this land back. That
To
shouldn't
the
even
land
be a
reform policy.
discussion where you come back now and say, hey, you know what? We thought about it, but for diplomatic reasons, I'm going to do the XYZ. Your stand should be how you're standing right now. That should never change.
Yeah. I don't
That should
even
never
like this
change.
whole thing of Ramaphosa going to meet this president because he's now in Asia, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
going around. Why didn't that's far than Africa. That's far than Africa. Why didn't he stop in South Africa? You know what I mean? So after he come back now, Ramaphosa have to come here to meet him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Hmm.
I don't
And
even
better
like. I
make you
don't even.
roll out the red carpet to him like how they roll you out to Ibrahim Traore in Russia, and treat him as a real man with dignity
Right.
Well,
and
Right.
right.
national
Right.
pride.
And not
Right.
like how them treat
And
like
let's
how them
hope.
treat Zelensky.
Yes, that's what I was
Right.
just gonna say. Let's hope it doesn't
Zelensky.
turn out to be another Zelensky episode.
Yeah,
Hey,
but one tell
you
me.
will see none of that. You'll see none of that. No carpet rolling nowhere. You'll see rolled up carpet,
But
but
you
not
know,
rolled out.
the reality of this whole reasoning is that what we want to see is that those nations which are in a position economically, fiscally, geographically to offer assistance to people of the earth in need, we want to see that being done on a equitable level, a level where the people who actually need it are given the assistance they need, right? And not just, and this is why we're talking about it, because we're saying, listen, these things have happened over time, but it doesn't mean that they have to keep happening. And the only way
They have
it's going
no
to
shame.
change
They have no shame in doing it because they keep doing it over and over. They have
and,
no shame
and,
about it.
and getting
And
away
I
with
don't
it.
know if you look to them in a for them eye at the most holy and righteous thing them do. And that's how them see it. Them can't see it no other way. Them probably
Right.
feel say, yo, I some good way I do them,
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
man.
By
So,
taking all of them resources and give them nothing in a return.
Yeah.
yeah,
And you know the atrocity too is all of this too is based on religious ideology, you know. This is based on religious ideology, you know,
true,
because a
true,
man
true.
will tell you now he following the word of Christ or God, you know.
Yeah, man, it's
Remember,
a
you know, these
covenant.
people,
It's a
yeah, man,
covenant.
these people who representing this thing what going on is a
I was
religious
I was doing
ideology.
some research on the whole ordeal of the Afrikaners in South Africa,
South Africa.
and one of the wars that they fought when the Britain, I think the Britain sent some soldiers to help them, and 3,000 Zulu, they were fighting against the Zulu.
Hmm.
3,000 Zulu died, and 3 Afrikaners got injured in the whole war.
Mhm.
And when they win that war, they say this proves that God is on their side.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
man.
And they were
Yeah, the
Christians.
Christians,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
It's
Yeah.
Calvinists who first
Mm.
occupied South Africa anyways. So we know
yeah,
these people have Christian ideology, like, but when we look at the atrocities of man, right, and how man suffer, boy, man suffer in the name of God all the time, you know.
all the
We
time.
who
But
suffer, we
sir,
suffer in the name of God all the time.
I
sir, I
guess
don't
if we
really want to stray the reasoning still, but
No, but
the
yes, true.
yeah, what man say,
then don't do it, man.
go ahead, man.
Yeah,
What man say is, it's so funny how when it comes to the benefit, they accept it under the banner of Christianity. But when it comes to the remunerations, they say, oh no, it was just people doing that. It
mm,
wasn't
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Christianity.
yeah.
And
But
it always strike me.
no, I just want to say that if what had happened before, it was, you know what I mean, it was God that do it. That means this land reform that the government of South Africa is doing now, it's God doing it right now. So they should
Mhm.
just let it happen. Just
Work with it, yeah, man.
yeah,
Accept the
yeah,
will
Aja
of
give them the
God.
works.
land. Yes,
Accept
Aja
the will of
works.
God. Accept the
yes,
will of
yes,
God.
yes, right. You know what I mean? And we want to empower the government of South Africa. Keep doing what you're doing the right
Be-
thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
because
It's only right.
if you look at it right, even saying you giving these people um um
Refugee status.
refugee status, right? they still identifying them as good Christian people, you know.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
literally, you know, it's good Christian people, so they're identifying with something. Why you helping these people too, right? Because they're good Christian people. All right,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
there you go. So we
Yeah,
we,
So
we
man.
why
see,
wouldn't we help them?
The people them don't
right?
even look like refugee, brother.
You know, I saw
Yeah,
a
man,
video. I
everybody in a
saw a
good health.
video.
Some of them all fat.
I saw a
They
video.
must
I
be a
saw a
fat
video
refugee
where they
yet.
were showing some of them coming to the airport, and they were comparing it to like refugee camps in other areas of the world, and they were like,
Right.
pick the refugees. No one picked them.
Yeah.
No one picked them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
remember, you know, this is just a blatant act, right? And a
Yeah, man.
blatant
I
act
see it.
of power, and like you said, racial identity, right? Again,
Mhm.
I think for the South, man, if you're thinking about this ideology here, the South is smiling right now because they plotted for a long time to be in
Yeah.
this position,
This is
brother.
what they want.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
So
global. And now it's global. We
yeah,
see now
true. So
it's happening
so as you
globally.
say, as you say, it's global. This is why I'm saying, just like how the global community came out in support of Ibrahim Traore, we want to see the
Yes.
global community coming out and voicing their disapproval of this to say,
Right.
listen, this isn't right because you can't have these people who actually need the support being denied, and then these people who are actual oppressors. In a Rastafari, when I
Colonizers.
said don't press us, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
being granted this benefit when they are far from in need of it. You know,
But
so
it's
that
such a
is the
public
that.
fast, though, Ras. It's such a public fast. It's a fiasco
Mm-hmm,
because I'm in danger. My people are in danger, but 58 of us decide to come. Right?
mm-hmm,
It should be
mm-hmm.
thousands. The
Out of
airports,
millions.
they should
Hundreds
be
of
talking
thousands
about,
to
oh,
come, man.
wow,
Hundreds of
we didn't
thousands.
realize that it was so bad. It should be such a
They need
shock then when you
protection.
see these people
Yeah,
running.
They
we
need
just see
protection. You have to go
Nobody's
in and
running
protect them.
anywhere.
we
Mm-hmm.
just see
It's
the
a
tents.
fast that didn't work, Roots. It's a
We
public
are the
fiasco.
tents. We are the tents.
Yeah,
And,
Eh?
yeah,
and the
We are
yeah,
the
camps,
food
and the
dropping out of
camps,
airplanes.
yeah,
and the
yeah.
camps,
Eh?
yeah. Mm,
Come
real
on,
thing,
man.
man. So,
Drop in
we
yeah,
do
dada.
give thanks for the opportunity to be able to reason about these things and look at them from from a balanced point of view and really see it for what it is. We give thanks for the opportunity to share these views with our members and our viewers. And as we use the word members, I want to tell our members as well that there's going to be opportunity for you to become members of the chat class. So look forward to that coming in the very, very near future.
Mm,
So if you're in support of the work that's being done, and if you wish to be a part of this mission, then that would mean that you would have to gain membership to
Become a
show
member.
that support. Yes, so we give thanks. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and remember to always be vocal whenever you see injustice, whenever you see negative things being perpetrated across the globe. Be vocal about it. Share your dislike for our disagreement to it. Don't just sit in silence. Yeah, man, give thanks, Brother Okavango, Brother
Yes,
Bingi,
I.
Yaga,
Give thanks for
aka
life.
Titama Art. I am Ras
Come on.
Dada, and this has been another episode of the Perfect Balance Trodclass. Walk good.
Bless up.
Yes.
And I said the perfect balance, third class. I don't know, see a truck for the living for this represents. Good over evil, me tell them see a life over death. I swear, said I will never switch. Keep the fire burning out. Holy Manuel I Selassie, Jah, blazing fire.